What's up, everybody? Jed Johnson here from dieselcrew.com. Of course, you know they call me Napalm, and yet another screen capture video to talk about some of the comments that I'm getting on my videos. So here's a comment that's on one of my gripper training videos, and it's an interesting thing that happens sometimes. You can see that Marty McFleece says at the top, "I'm not impressed with the quality checks / consistency of Captain's the Crush. My number 1.5 is easier to close than my number 1. And I say I've seen the same thing in my years of gripper rating. So I used to rate a lot of grippers, and every so often I would rate someone's grippers. They would send me a number 1 and a number 1.5, and the 1.5 would end up easier than the number 1. And a lot of times, many times, the 1.5 was only slightly tougher than the number 1. And I'm talking like maybe 2-3 pounds tougher. So this is not uncommon whatsoever. You can see that Tong Il Martial Arts Swordsman says, "I find my 0.5 to be more challenging than my 1.5. And then someone just 4 minutes ago came in and said, "Honestly, it's weird. I feel the same way with the COC1 stronger than my 1.5. Doesn't make any sense." So if you slide it down here, I kind of explain one of the possibilities as far as why this happens. So I'm just speculating as far as the details here. So this might not be the exact reason why, but here's one possible reason. I don't know what the springs are, what the spring size is on the 1 and 1.5, but there's a chance that they use the same exact spring on both grippers. So if that's the case, and let's say you buy let's say that number 1 was made in 2002, and then the 1.5, those came out in like 2005. So you've got a lot of variability right there. Grippers vary anyway. So to have several years in between buying the grippers, you're looking at many generations of springs, and you just don't know what the strength level of those springs will be. Even if it's a gripper that was made in like 2020, and then you get another one in 2021, that variability can still be substantial enough that you can feel it. So, to give you an idea, I've rated 2.5s that have been as low as 123 pounds and change, all the way up to 135 pounds and change. Now, those grippers are probably years apart as far as when they were produced, okay? But the spring itself, it really depends on what batch it came out of, and I would imagine that even springs in the same batch could have variation. Now, I don't have the grippers right in front of me, but I'm willing to bet that the number 1 and the 1.5, there's a good chance that they use the same spring size. That may not be the case, but there's going to be variability in the same spring size. If the springs are different, then there's obviously going to be variability there. The other variable that you need to take into consideration is the set depth. So the spring goes into the handle. The depth that it's set at is the set depth. So if that gets changed at all, and that's off just by a little amount, that can affect the difficulty. So if you combine those two things, the actual strength of the spring, depending on how strong that batch comes out, plus the set depth into the grippers, if any of those variables come out the right way, you could end up with grippers that are supposed to be one way but end up reversed. So again, lots of speculation here, and I don't have data to back this up, but it's one idea as far as why this happens. And remember, if a 2.5 can vary from 123 to 135, that's 12 pounds. I don't think a 1.5 or a number 1 is going to vary that much, because there's probably not that much variability available in that small of a spring. And keep in mind that those 2.5s were probably, they could have been 10 years apart as far as when they were produced. But the point is, these springs vary, which means grippers vary. And when an average rating of a number 1 and an average rating of a 1.5 are so close together anyway, then you have the possibility to have that crisscross overlap. Now, I don't have the average ratings right here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to start this back up, and we'll look and see what the average ratings are for those grippers on Canon PowerWorks. All right, so here we are on the Canon PowerWorks website, and we were on the IronMind grippers page. So I need to remember that the name of the gripper is below the gripper. So if we go down here to number 1, the average rating is 75. If we go to 1.5, the average rating is 85. So you can see there the average ratings for those two grippers are really, really close together. If it's the same spring being used, and the only variable that's supposed to change the rating of that spring when you close it, the difficulty level of that gripper when you close it, that's a very, very small window. So if a batch comes out stronger one time and a batch comes out weaker the next time, plus if you throw in the set depth as another variable, you could easily crisscross those two grippers. So I hope this has been helpful. If so, please give the video a big thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. Any questions, you can leave them in the comments section below. And all the best in your training. If you're looking for gripper training resources, check out the description box because I've got a lot of them. Thanks, all the best in your training. Take care.